we live? Okay. It's not like we're live. Start streaming. This is here. Ah, shit. Alright. Let's see how I tell people about it. Let's start this one over. What's that? Chat. Let's promote. Add content, paste. Started. The N1 build. Yeah, I guess I can yap to. Oh, there's people here. I've got a thing saying there's 0 concurrent viewers, but I see chat. So, hey folks, welcome. I got some feedback that it was too hard to comprehend what was going on the last video with both the music and then myself talking, and then also the commentators all at the same time. And so now today, y'all don't get to listen to the commentators. If you want to listen to the commentators, open the videos in another window and put them out at the same time. It'll be close enough, I guess, actually. It's actually, yeah, it's not a bad theory in general. Yeah, I'm skipping the last 2 rounds from yesterday. I thought one of them's Nick Reagan, and he got her added today, which is great. But perhaps limited utility to go review that. And then the last one was a pretty dope matchup of Devil Jin versus Godzilla, but I did watch that one live, and so I've spoilers and stuff. I guess. Yeah, so Bakugo didn't block a absolute layup attack onto. That's interesting. I think it's not that interesting. I think it's not surprising. But it's. I'm kind of coming on. He's got 3 good foundations he doesn't want to have face down. I think that was the... We're going to skip back and make sure if that was the attack I thought it was, of overhead. It's definitely overhead double fist. You have to flip the foundation to block. Byakko is like such a good character that is he a good character? He's a singularly powerful game-defining character, and he has 5 hand size. He has a lot of stuff going on. He's very Yu Yu Hakusho, parentheses derogatory. Like he's very strong, very effective character, and very kind of singularly shaped in a lot of ways. I think people thought he kind of fell off, and then he came in Swiss Champed. But yeah, every 5 hand size has the possibility, the potential within them to mulligan into a 1 build, which is what he had this game. And now Byakko is, or now Bakugo is kind of try to carve him up with his limited cards. I guess he has 2 cards in hand here. Oh yeah, and yeah, Bakugo gets to steal Fighting Cliffs here. He's not playing any of his own 6 checks, but he does get to filter his brains out. It's fun. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, okay, I'm kind of thinking Bakugo just didn't have a high block last turn. Because spewing about Botan's coaching, I think Botan's coaching is such a. I never hit that button when I have it, unless it's like obviously very good. And people fire that off real fast. I don't know. Yeah, just draw a momentum. Oh, he had okay, yeah, he had Dark Tournament Looms. Yeah, that makes sense. I hate guys. Don't play Dark Tournament Looms. Like I've kind of been throwing shade on people and cards not very good. Dark Tournament Looms sucks. That's just how it is. It is a 5 control attack, and that's great, but it's a card you draw like an attack that always costs a momentum before it does anything good. Like it just cycles. People say like no, it doesn't. You like paying the cost to get an enhanced step is a very real cost, and it's yeah, it's just not good. Don't play that card. Unless I mean, you can have specific times and places to use it. Actually, the Godzilla matchup, the Godzilla deck was actually a Water Symbol Godzilla deck playing the new Chaos Attuned cousin of Dark Tournament Looms that retrieves the momentum and adds or subtracts the damage equal to the block modifier, and I kind of appreciated it there. It does draw a card, which is kind of a downside. It does absolutely nothing unless you have momentum. But I thought it was charming. It had specific reasons, like kind of when you can Dark Tournament Looms and loop it a specific attack and really assemble a big attack string all at once. That's a lot better than just the slow Dark Tournament Looms where you have to hit them and then get the momentum and then spend that momentum for a relatively marginal effect to filter in your draws. Anyway. I'm listening to the commentators talk about how oh yeah, but okay. I'm gonna pull up this Byakko deck. We're gonna. How's this looking? This looks pretty alright. Cool. Sam Taylor, Byakko, and Jake Gat Bakugo. Jesus Christ! This deck has so many cards in it. What the hell? This is like a clean 110 or something? 108 plus sideboard? Jesus Christ. He only has 2 of these main deck? Holy. Yeah, they were commenting on the presence of concern for a friend. This is a neat one. Ochako starter card that sees very light play and I think deserves to see a little more. E-commit draw card is a very good ability. Like, I'm very excited about Yelena's Machinations. And that's ultimately E-commit draw card. You know, but there's some extra sets, so there's some other stuff going on. But what's cool, I like these 4x dedicated artisan. We got 4x first attacker. We got a bunch of random crap. Ready for an ambush is -5 speed. Yeah, I like we got 4x ultra regen. I would like it a lot more if we had 4x ultra regen, like as a proportion of fewer than 120 freaking cards. You know, this is really like a 2x ultra regen. You just have to infinite discard pile. I guess the joke, the reason we do this is that Bakugo mills himself like crazy. He has this. If you have 30 cards in your discard pile, top deck something. You want to be kind of in that position for the longest time without making the trade-offs of having these enhanced middle threes either have to be turned offline or to risk cycling. Um, but it's crazy. Come on, man. Like beast summoning, like you're gonna have like the second beast summoning so much less frequently than you should if you were in a same number. Oh no, so he does have 4x Ultra Read and he has 3x Unbreakable. So it is good. He has 4x of several of these the good ones in here. And yeah, Phil that Referee Jury deserves a specific shout out. I thought that card was really well positioned this meta, plus or minus a couple matchups. But it's really sweet with Byakko where he can top deck a Referee Jury. You enhance with Referee Jury from your hand, then you enhance Byakko, top deck a Referee Jury, and then the on hit trigger goes later and says after it deals damage, draw a card. So you take 4, then you draw another Referee Jury. So you just 4 of them, and stretch this 38 out to like 50. But this is going to be sort of a mid-rangey slugfest kind of thing. So I'm just gonna start hitting buttons to speed this up. We got some ultra regens. Oh god, and we have this is painful. Something went wrong with the broadcast, and we got monster robot voices. This sucks. All right, so we run a Titan Cliff into a Attitude Selector high block. Bakugo taps just about all the way out, and then Calorie Counter comes in here with the steep discount. Yes, these are all wearing +4 damage. So yeah, we got some 10 damage chunks here. He flips that upside down, signaling it hits. Attack again, check a 6, very talented. He has this. Jesse calls us out that this is Moon's Wrath. Yeah, this is the speeds up equal to the number of face downs. So baseline, 2 speed, and then it gets a little bit of extra speed. This does not make it a good attack. Like compare contrast battle aura release actually is. Yeah, I do not like the look of this card next to battle aura release. Honestly, like I guess at some point it speeds up to like 6 speed, 7 speed. I guess just called it 7 speed here. Okay, maybe I'm talking smack. 7 speed's pretty good. 7 speed's respectable anyway. 7 speed's something. In this spot, it is going to be unblockable, which is nice, but it's not going to be lethal damage. Yeah. So one very see if we're gonna win or if we're gonna run out of offense and have to try to stay alive. Yeah, Jesse comments that if we had an attack, we would not be sitting here and hemming and hawing. We would ship it. We would win the game. Yeah. Just another cantrip. I guess there's actually a kind of thin marginal thing here that's interesting. Is that having specifically Thunderous Roar here is. If the stage was just Thunderous Roar right now, there'd actually be a kind of important thing where if you're completely tapped out, Ultra Regen has an enhanced remove, so that you go fetch I think non-attack card. I can just go look at it because I've got it here. If you have no Ready Foundations, add any one card from your discard pile to your hand, and this is more Referee Juries on top of just the flip draw 2 gain 2 health mode. Alright, we're gonna skip ahead a little bit. Alright, we have a curious play. Okay, yeah, what the heck? Bakugo plays the foundation just to kick it out, and then he's digging really hard. So it looks like I think his only ready foundation, his only face of foundation, I should say, is push the advantage that draws a card after he clears from his card pool. And I guess you're at 3 life. You say, basically he's on the theory of this is all or nothing. We're either winning the game right now or we're not. Um, yeah, spicy spot. Yeah, so Bakugo kicks out Byaku's last card and knocks out a referee jury from his hand, which is definitely a real play. Um, but yeah, coming to 22 is not even with Bakugo damage pumps is not easy, and he kind of signaled face up that he is not flooded on attacks because he didn't lead with an attack. Although maybe there's some leveling going on here. You could say I have the Yomi. I have the prediction that my opponent has the sorry the yeah the I recall some of these enormous decks. I guess I'll once we get through this turn, I'll talk a little bit about some of the theories of deck construction. Man, checks a 6, checks a 4 to uh, stop the Vile Seizing, draw plus, then passes half block. Well, it's awesome that yeah we got anyone who's not reading chat here. We got some comments that Sam is known for playing giant deck piles and also had some deck building concessions due to card availability. Well, incredible result even with somewhat card availability, yeah, somewhat constrained deck build, right? You didn't have access to everything. Um, I think definitely if you're Bakugo's Byako, B A K names is tough, man. If you can hook yourself up with a set of referee juries, I think this is an incredible deck to play in a pauper or like semi-pauper kind of sense. Like a lot of these attacks, I guess this is actually a UR, but it's from a set where all the URs are super cheap. I think. Titan Cliff is a very very powerful common. Ultra Regen's a very very powerful common. Does he actually have? He does have. Okay, it's 3x maximum size. Yu Hakusho reprint common, Dangerous Hybrid common. Um, yeah, very good like power to availability exchanges in this. Okay, yeah. Well, Byako literally, spoilers, is going to lose this match after winning the game where he built one as player one. It's crazy. So, Yomi pulled up Jake's Bakugo deck. 12 12 spams, 12 zeros. I guess this is the deck playing a bunch of 2 checks, isn't it? Yeah, okay. So we got 3 2 checks, 65 cards. Got some sideboard Litterings, got some sideboard. We got some sideboard Throwhade. We are not getting got by the hot. Not a lot of throws in this Byako deck, but it does have some Aura Slams. It does have some Crash Throughs. This is a card folks might not know about. It's a 0-3 throw for 3 difficulty. Any notice on Lance? This is yeah, technically sideboard all throws, but like you can sideboard 10 attacks in. Presumably your saw some attacks in that. That's 10% of the deck. Come on. Doesn't matter that much. And yeah, this is Aerial Recon is a quiet card. You might not have seen. This is just an untapper. If you make your opponent discard a card, such as with Bakugo's Enhance, you get to ready it. They've been making a lot of these at flip costs, but my favorite card that rotated, my number one, my precious boy, Small and Limber. They don't make them like they used to, man. This used to be a 1/4 kind of thing. Be able to untap a card that if you go through a small quest. SMH. Yeah, base not sideboarding. That's a it's a good when you already have 100 cards. It's like don't bother, man. It's not like the margins aren't worth it. let's see how these next two games go. Oh god, ow, my ears. Yeah, player one Kiyomi is a lot stronger than player two Kiyomi. The robots. Okay. What's gonna happen? So, okay. We catch a 7 damage rabble rousing. That's gonna be virtually 9 damage when it clears. It burns the big cat for 2. We're checking for vial seizing and we're gonna pay for it. But so Bakio can draw so many cards here if he wants to. And referee jurying. We're banning a referee jury. Yeah, small marginal call there. It's a kind of strict. When you have so Bakugo there had Kiyomi and then 2 copies of Push the Advantage that are all responses to after you clear a card from your card pool, and he paid his permanent costs on the pushing the advantages first, and just like small, tiny marginal thing. But you should, when you're in that kind of spot, you should Kiyomi first, not spend your costs, and then if in case you draw like a very very good card or a card that for some reason informs you I don't want to keep drawing right now. I'd rather, you might want to save those in your pocket for later. You want to preserve that choice. But yeah, no, this is a good showing for Bakugo here. This is a yeah, and genuinely, you might not want to draw there because you might you're definitely at risk of being constrained on progressive difficulty this turn. Explosive Review helps out a little bit, especially just believe in yourself that you'll check a 5 on it. Um, but yeah, explosive. Yeah, so yeah, this Bakugo deck. I think this Bakugo deck is like clearly making a mistake. It is 65 cards. It should absolutely be 60 cards. Because Rabble Rousing is better than every other card in this deck by a mile, and then Explosive Rebuke is a large fraction of it. Is like better than most of the deck, and Sweeping Daggers is better than most of the deck. Um, I don't know about Lupin Tiaras in here, but maybe it's pretty cool when it's popping off. And like a lot of these foundations are pretty fungible, pretty idempotent amongst each other. Like you could cut a foresight and not miss it very much, and just like have one fewer cards. Or skilled swordsmanship is +2 speed. I'm surprised to see this one in here at all. But like push the advantage, attitude selector. Do we trigger attitude selector? We just Botan's coaching, and the in skill. Okay, yeah. Okay, so I've been spacing out for a bit, and we have been tabbing and sneezing and stuff. But Bakugo is now in to his 4th hit of the string with all these wearing +2 from the Rabble Rousing. I guess just for the sake of completeness. So the mechanics of this is that Rabble Rousing says after you play this card, all attacks get -1 damage this turn. Bakugo says after I get any kind of penalty to my Fury attack, I can respond and give it 3 damage. So you like push back on him and he blows up and pushes past you. Um, and so yeah, burned Byakko down to 10 health here real quick, and has committed basically nothing. Like this is the crazy thing of, um, the swings of variance, right? Like he has checked a lot of 5s and has had a number of swings go his way or whatever, but like this is just going to be a very hard game to hold on to no matter what happens here. Yeah, Bakugo getting a latent skill, getting 3 more draws for next turn down. He's going to take 2 momentum. Um, Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that's. I say that's extra draws. That's really not extra draws because if Byakko can attack and turn the face down with anything. But yeah, I guess so. If I were, so what can we infer about what's going on with Bakugo? Like he doesn't have, he probably doesn't have another attack in his hand. He maybe he does, but I guess it doesn't matter. You attack Kiyomi, yeah. So like the nice thing, and this I think, no, you gotta attack Kiyomi. So like attacking Kiyomi here takes two attacks out of your opponent's hand, two cards out of your opponent's hand, two cards out of your opponent's draw space. I guess it would have taken giving him an attack that he could have responded to Filled with Doubt on could have been a net negative. Like that's an extra review step if he gets to do that. But yeah, like this game's super over. Like half block it? Oh. Yeah, and he gets killed by the Tiaras. Yeah, I think that in a deep conversation about metagame health, we often talk about how, or like the designers talk about, we don't want to have too many turn two kills, and yeah, like this is technically not a turn two kill in this game, but one of these players, this is the start of turn three, and you're at 10 health facing Byakko or Bakugo. You took 28 on turn two. That's a turn. That's not a turn two kill, but it's not a competitive game ultimately. Um, and I guess I'm saying that I definitely think he lost some substantial equity by not slapping Kiyomi, not flipping and getting the Botan's coaching face down. Baku would have been so I think of we talk about hand size, and hand size can get kind of wind up becoming a politicized term. People say like, oh, like I'm a 10 hand size this turn. It kind of doesn't mean anything. But I think the more marginally less loaded idea. I think it's search space, right? If I have three cards in my hand and I just draw my hand, get my draw step. I can maybe review a card. We can infer Bakugo probably had either 1 or 0 attacks the previous turn. If he reviews 1, it draws 4. That's a 4-card search space. And if I'm in Bakugo's chair, a 4-card search space is not catastrophic, right? 4 cards is about, like, if a deck is on average 1/3 attacks, which is a good enough rule of thumb. 4 cards is like 1 in change attacks. But in the spot that he is in, if he gets 1 enhanced step, then now he has Kiyomi online and he has latent skill and Botan's coaching. So that's 1 and 2 and 3. Or that's 1 plus 1 hand size. That's 1 draw from Kiyomi. It's going to be could potentially be a second draw later. 2 draws from latent skill and a Botan's coaching. So like that's 2x of the search space. That's going from 4 cards to 8 cards, and 8 cards is like pretty unlikely not to be 2 attacks. And if I also Byakko, I'm looking at my hand and I see I don't have a high block, we've probably figured out by this point that this Byakko deck is mostly high attacks. Like we got, it's actually mostly mid attacks. Dang. Okay. Vile Seizing, Vile Seizing plus Rabble Rousing, getting me with the frequency illusion that is actually mostly mid attacks. That's interesting. Yeah, actually, I actually like this. So we have kind of the 8 most sort of notable, like these are the leads of a lot of attack strings in this deck are high. Then we have this package of, we have 4 low attacks that are off zone and speedy, 5 speed, and then also potentially draws cards. So like you'll get hit if you play against Bakugo a lot, you will get used to seeing outright skill. This card's really good. And this is the low zone mix-up. Then we have this little package of speedy mids. So we have a stun, potentially stun 1 or 2 mid that also discards. We have sweeping daggers that does all kinds of stuff, and ambush thrust that potentially draws an attack. Speaking of, we're gonna jump around. Speaking of Dark Tournament Looms, like this is the good Dark Tournament Looms. Like, ambush thrust. If you like Dark Tournament Looms, you should like ambush thrust a lot more, because 4 speed mid, 7 damage. Potentially, if they have some Sun Foundations, and it draws an attack, like this is good stuff. This is what you want. But yeah, we have 8 mids plus also a throw that's technically mid, but understand this is the throw attack zone. Um, Defending this is yeah, not the easiest thing in the universe. Even if you had a lot of options, which playing a 5 hand size, you don't get a ton of options on how you're going to defend yourself. Uh, but yeah, you gotta. I guess I'm bumbling around different ways to think of the insight. You really need to attack Kiyomi. You really need to get Kiyomi off the board, and flipping your opponent's stage at the same time is very valuable. Not giving them the draw, not enlarging their search space, right? Because normally if you attack, your opponent can block. Your opponent can throw away blocks even, and get down to closer to 0 cards in hand to then draw as many as possible off the top. And denying your opponent that larger refresh is a powerful option, but then taking away their options off the board, it's a dimension you want to be able to conceptualize how you're going to fight over, and to maximize your chances of winning games, you want to not have to like think it through from first principles of, what's one war draw worth approximately. Anyway, let's see how game 3 turns out. Actually, I already know how game 3 turns out on that set. So Byakko gets. All right, we're jumping. We clicked it ahead of the video. We have a decent. We have a fine-looking 3 build. We have a horrific-looking hand on turn 2 here from Byakko. We got a couple cantrips in the stage, but we have no attacks. Oh, so we have a 3-speed mid attack with nothing in the graveyard to go fetch because we have 100 cards in our deck. Very sad. And yeah, Bakugo is gonna flip a actually interesting call here with Bakugo. Would you rather flip? I guess it's not that hard to say. I would rather flip the +2 damage foundation against when you have 38, like 1/19th of your life is pretty unlikely to matter. Versus draws and a +2 or a +1 foundation with Air Recon. Um, but yeah, again, the mechanics here: reluctant role model, flip -1 damage. In Bakugo, this is actually tenacious +2 damage. So pretty cool card, pretty good card. Yeah, he burns a Filled with Doubt here, which I wonder if is something he's gonna it will occur to him to come to regret later, as the way this game shakes out. Filled with Doubt occurs to me like it strikes me that if you imagine the possibility you might lose on turn 2 as Byakko here. Um, oh, and actually, yeah, we're doing the thing again of if you have multiple draw effects, you want to do the one that gives you the most information first. If you have maybe you don't know whether or not you're going to do all of these up front, but he has big appetite in the stage here, so big appetite. Yeah, just if you have smaller hand size, it's just a flip draw, just pure, no strings attached, extra card in your hand. And he does this after he uses. He does this as his second enhance or nth enhance here after Shameless Egg, which makes him discard a card to get the effect of drawing a card, and then there's a bunch of extra verbiage of drawing extra cards sometimes, of haggling with your opponent and having a conversation with them. Before he could have just decided, I think Filled with Doubt sucks. Like this is a mistake to have in my deck in this matchup or whatever, and he just wants to burn it no matter what. But as it spoilers, yeah, Rattle Rousing does it does 5 damage here, and it does 2 damage to all of your attacks this turn. So if you play like a 5-hit string, that's a 15 damage attack. And I would like to withdraw this line of questioning because this is a response that's just as fast as Filled with Doubt. Turn player gets first response, and so it's all that damage already. Dang. UFS is hard. So yeah, Filled with Doubt kind of sucks in this matchup. It stops Explosive Rebuke from discarding a card. It's like +1 progressive difficulty on this thing. It's pretty sneaky. Actually, yeah, none of these are worth filling without. This would be a thing you could sideboard, and you could improve your deck after sideboards if you had fewer than 100 cards in your deck. Might be a relatively low hanging fruit to improve. All right, so we're gonna look at our discard piles. We're gonna posture. We're gonna mid attacks running into random mid blocks. Tails all the time. Jeez, so he drew all these spam foundations. I guess so. At some level, maybe some of the calculus here is included that when we were deciding which things we were going to flip for Byakko, that he didn't want to flip his last face-up 2-dip foundation, and that there was some back and forth in his head about how that was going to go. Because I noticed that, yeah, now he only has a pair of 1s and a pair of 0s. Byakko really wants... Actually, Byakko's highest card in either stage, isn't he? Yeah, so he's still going to count his opponent's supposed to's. Yeah, one small idea I have here is just mechanically, just kind of getting your mechanically. Even there's a better word than mechanically, but in terms of like your actually what you do with your hands, how you move your cards around. Top card rounds are still timed, and obviously to play in a tournament you have to get through a normal set of hour-long timed rounds. One pet peeve of mine is so Sam is kind of reaching over, picking up one card, flipping his discard pile, flipping his discard pile, flipping his discard pile. You can go a lot faster if you batch your actions. So what I do is I'll kind of slide the cards on the top of my deck. I'll pull off a group of 3 of them and flip them over all at once. Put those in my discard pile. That can go a lot faster. Just mechanically, that takes you seconds every time you do it. And if you're going to be pressing Byakko buttons dozens of times in a tournament, those seconds can add up. Yeah, so Rabble Rousing gets partially blocked by Berserker Bite. That is a good stop sign, typically, to aggression on turn 2. But Bakugo does get to clear his card pool, and so it does have that -1 progressive difficulty. He's still playing on 2 progressive difficulty effectively for this turn at this point. He's going to have the first attack in the pool, and then he plays the second one, and then adds the Berserker Bite from his opponent. But he just check 5s. Who really cares? But what's +1 when you have five checks from the top of your deck? Kind of one of the basic ways I think of this is just that you get kind of that napkin math. Your decks are something like 2-to-1 foundations to attacks, or gray cards to attacks, good checks to bad checks. And so a good check is worth about 2 more than a bad check. Broadly, a lot of times, whatever, depending on what you're playing. And in a straightforward aggressive deck like this one, yeah, just like napkin math, broadly, like you can. I don't know. And just like retrospectively, you can say, "Oh, how unlucky was I that my opponent rattled off triple Rabble Rousing?" I mean, that's pretty unlucky. That's like the best attack you'd have to try to kill you on turn 2. How lucky were his checks is something I often am asking myself. Like, oh, he checked a bunch of 5s. Like, on average, you check more 5s than 3s for sure, right? Like, at the very least. And depending on how you build your decks, if you say, oh, I'm going to be disciplined, I'm not going to play these 4 checks, I'm not going to play very few 4 checks, I'm going to prefer 5 checks, play 6 checks, whatever. But he does, like, actually rattle off, like, all 5 checks this turn? Or is this already lethal? Yeah, so triple Rabble Rousing, Irate Scowl. Yeah, it's going to be, 7, then 9, then 11, and then Irate is 7 on 11 is 27, and then, yeah. Yeah, man, like, playing cards like Berserker Bite is a thing I love. I love giving my opponents checks -1, but giving their difficulty +1, making all their cards a little bit harder, making them, limiting their ability to play the game, giving them a lot of progressive difficulty and stuff. But it is ultimately just +1 to their costs, right? And if they check 5s, like, it's hard to have those costs add up high enough to matter. Especially, Bakugo got a virtual build 5 on turn 1, and woof. Yeah, stuff like that is why is another reason I don't like playing. So I don't like playing 5-hand size characters, And one of the reasons for that is that you just get murdered by that stuff on turn 2 sometimes. You know, like there exist big guns out there. People play big guns. I like playing big guns. Just decks that can count to large numbers of damage, because counting a lot of damage on the table is the necessary precondition to win the game. Right? Every deck that has ever dealt 30 damage needed to deal 30 damage. And if you can deal 50 damage, that is often a good proxy for being able to deal 30 damage through some interaction. And so I like having big guns, basically. Scroll down. Yo, Pony versus Peak. Yeah, so I've been yapping Peak Universus. This is some real Peak Universe. We have costs on both sides. We have powerful characters. We have up and down speed. Yeah, I think. Yeah, Alex Green. I played Alex at Worlds and I had a great time. He had a lot of spirit for the game, and it was a lot of fun talking both playing our games and also talking about the game afterward. I think I was. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Kiyomi plus Honor's Ally is a combo I have a big crush on. This is so sick and Pony. You just get to plop Kiyomi into a stage where they can't touch her, and then you get to start drawing cards and writing stuff on defense. Actually, this could be a home for. I've been frequently frustrated. I was very frustrated recently trying to build around Stable's work. If this card is ready during the combat phase, draw a card. There's a lot of things that don't work with this. There's a surprising number of things that say ready and still don't work with this for some reason or another. And there's a paucity of like remotely plausible sounding ways that you can even trigger this. But I wonder if there's like a Pony deck, because Pony also just really needs those extra cards in her hand sometimes. But anyway, I should be focusing on this game. Weightless gaming. 3 6s in a row here from Pony. Not that they mattered, because he was playing on like 2 2 3 4 5 6 3 4 5. But it is a nice flex to check all these 6s. Yeah, so did we get an axe and a greater goal, or is... Okay, yeah, so his tournament build was greater goal, enormous axe, risky gamble, hell yeah, and determined dive. What an interesting, what a curious card to be playing in your not wall counter character, but I like it. Yeah, it's definitely risky gamble. Sick. Yeah, sick. So what happens? What's happening here is we're getting to blitz and build a face down, and then immediately sacrificing it to with that's determined dives enhanced unconditional build a face down from the top of your deck committed, and it is conditional. If you have a wall counter, you get to draw a card with determined dive. But here, I think there's been some noises about this peak deck playing an absence of battle aura release and playing this kind of weird. Not battle aura release, slower, no flip foundation synergy, conditional card draw, smaller damage, blah blah blah. But turn defin's definitely looking good here on turn 2. Getting to turn a 3 build on turn 1 into a painless transformation that gets anti-Titan Artillery in play, and also even gets to flip the risky gamble so that did he commit axe for damage? Oh, he's gonna sack it. Okay, that's what's going on. We're putting the numbers on the thing. We're putting the pressure on turn 2. That's got to be it, right? Like, no way he's gonna just commit for +1. He didn't have to. Yeah, like not owning battle or release is strategically valuable here. Like that card's overrated as hell. Like genuinely, I think battle R release is much worse in this position than German dive. And this somewhat particular spot on exactly turn two, uh, but like anyone who says, "Oh, I can't play Universe; it's too expensive," like, have you found the determined dives instead of your battle releases that you could be playing? Like, this isn't exactly a budget deck, I don't think, especially now the Colossus spot is apparently blowing up in price, and people are selling out of their Attack Titan artilleries, and like we got these weapon clashes and greater goals that are not trivially costed, like Risky Gambles or Ultra Rare Foundation. But a lot of this is, and I mean, hell, like I'm with you, loss of consciousness. I don't know. I have no idea if these are common T ones. Like they can't possibly be that expensive, but they could be somewhat scarce. Like it's still hard to open a common in a 300 card set sometimes. Anyway, okay, yeah. So he does. So he commits the enormous axe to Peak's enhance, or sorry, for +1 damage, which shocked me. But he did that because he's then going to sacrifice it to flip Peak back over to her front side, when he can then use the E commit to build one. So kind of using the whole Buffalo here. So that's neat. I think. Oh wow. Yeah, so that's actually gonna cash in for damage because it's speedy. Right. Yeah. 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 It's not even that it's a dollar signs, but it's just like card availability. Is it available at any price? Um, and yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of either or, right? Like I started playing Universes in high school. I had no like rounding error disposable income, right? Uh, and that is it's a limitation, right? And limitations breed creativity. And like I think determined dive is an instance of creativity here. I think that is a creative play you can do that works around the limitations that are imposed upon you by the world around you. And that's peak universes. That's like that's the meme here, right? That's the good stuff. Yeah, and yeah, man, this is how different does this game look if Alex is at 20, 22, 23, whatever the hell Pony starts with health. Um, yeah, 22 health. And because you get the 1 in 15 ish stats, we have the 4x lethal, 3x lethal slash, so 3 in 62, so less than 1 in 20, right? The denominator is slightly bigger than it should be. Hit that and lost half our health. When you're player one, you have certain advantages. He got outbuilt by the pony. Got putting out 5 foundations in play, but they were not enough to cover it. And yeah, there's a million ways he could have drawn a one better block modifier. He could have built one more on turn one. Uh, I don't really have a compelling theory here, but this is still very much a game, right? The game's not over. Peak stage is still light. And, and the commentators are discussing can Alex just go for a turn two kill here, and that's not out of the question. Be a little crazy, but open or lethal slash. I would like to draw a card, please. I mean, lethal slash is a fine opener, right? Like first attack, draw a card, get some options. Yeah, Risky Gamble's super good into Pony. She's trying to draw a lot of cards, and so it's just a one difficulty, and it's like a one difficulty. Put a object in the bank, right? Put a pawn in the bank later to spend on Greater Goal. Specifically Greater Goal plus Risky Gamble interaction is super good because now you're getting an underpriced card draw. Like 1/5 E commit draw is not something we have. We have a lot of E flip draw, but that's one use. Because this is a recurring advantage, you can keep banking up over time and keep reusing over time, and then yeah, Greater Goal just magnifies it. Yeah, so this is the kind of game where everyone's going to check bad on blocks in a. Yeah, I do love the chat says, yeah, the greatness of Universe is that there are alternate angles. There are so many angles to explore and so many things to find out there. Absolutely agree with that. That's some of the best. Those are some of the best moments in the game. And just like weird superstition of mine is that like if I'm getting screwed on, it feels like every time I'm getting screwed on blackjacks, my opponent's also gonna get screwed on blackjacks. It's like it feels relatively infrequent, despite how many ways there are for check imbalance to manifest itself. Like where one person's gonna check fives, one person's gonna check threes. Like it feels like it usually lines up where you're checking about similarly. And so like if you're checking all fives, your opponent you just like expect your opponent's gonna check all fives and sort of be able to fight back that way. And it's probably just like complete confirmation bias on my part. And in fact, it's just that. Uh, the most frequent occurrences occur most frequently, you notice and remember it when things happen to line up. And also, there are many times where the checks just don't matter. Where like, uh, I'm playing Rodan or I'm playing Barrier Shield, I'm playing those kind of cards, and it doesn't matter what the checks are going to be. We're just playing a game where the checks don't actually matter, and those games like maybe they're unbalanced and all like exactly as frequently as expected in those games where it doesn't matter. Uh, yeah, good deck building. I mean, yeah, good deck building. I think good deck building is letting you have a larger fraction than it should be of positions where the checks don't matter, where you take the variance out of the game's hand by maneuvering and by putting yourself in good spots. Um, yeah, so yeah, one angle of this pony turn is that we drew the remaining lethal slash. We drew both of them at the same time, so that's nice. And opening with the lethal slash, let him cantrip and then pay for pony with relatively less pain. And then he needed that card in his card pool in order to trigger his push advantages that are flip after you clear, draw a card. Lethal slash response does not clear. Uh, it removes, and so that wouldn't have triggered those if we had sequenced it that way. I mean, he could have just committed or sorry, I'm looking for. He could have just like led with if he had battle or release already in his hand, he could have led with that and then cleared it. But you can't clear lethal slash except by playing it first, or decline to play its response for bad reasons. Um, yeah, fun decision point here. We have a finite number of face ups in our stage, and we can have the option to waitlist, to unflip, or to untap to ready one of our resources, or we can just like flip one of these to draw a card, and we're deciding how we're going to use Pony. Pony's discarding a attack I can't see, or some kind of card that I cannot recognize through the pixelation on my screen. Let's screen and see if we can see it a little better. Maybe. Oh, that's the Bling Electric Month, isn't it? Yeah, rolling my mouse will not adjust that. Maybe 460 out up. Oh no, that's the world's promo of Ferocious Attacker? Is that it? Yeah, Marvel's Lost Health this turn, draw a card. Yeah, so that's kind of boat looking card up there. That's cool. So first stacker, yeah, is a relatively bad card to build on defense. It's not going to do anything at all, but it could be nice to have in your stage. But I mean, he can judge what's in his hand. And I think that there's a underrated aspect of Pony is that uh, everything you do, to quote a poker meme, everything you do at the table conveys information, right? And I think that when you're fighting against Pony, it's easy to just give into the fatalism, just say, "Oh, he's gonna sun run me. He's gonna kill me on turn two. He's never stops attacking. He's always got so many whatever resources. He's got too much." Um, but I think that there's a lot of back and forth there. There's a lot of what he's discarding. When everything's going great, he's going to discard double feral tree kind of attack, right? Not much information there. He discards the good one that gives him an immediate payback for discarding it. But in all the interesting corner cases, there are spots where Pony attacks you, and if they like discard an attack, obviously that tells you a lot. They're either completely full of attacks, or they have a normal hand that they're going to back off on the kill string. Um, Yes, we get it for an 8 damage battle or release. But I think Pony is a character that you want to say, I'm playing Pony, I need 4 battle or release. That's a more credible position than I think some of these other characters. Pony really wants to have that 8 damage cantrip attack. That like there isn't something that easily replaces that. At least if you're playing like a relatively stock Pony build. There are certainly a lot of options with Pony. You can build an incredible range of Pony decks. We saw this at U.S. Nationals with Connor's deck that actually knocked me out of top 8. Knocked me out of contention for top whatever, top 16 or top 30, top however many people got to play on Sunday. I might bring. We can after this game is over. I'll go indulge myself and bring that up. Um, but it was a City Rampage Armor of the Wolf deck, and Armor of the Wolf Ultra. I guess maybe you can say that's a potential barrier of entry, but um, we were way off in the weeds. Do I expect that there is any chance Pony wins the game this turn? I have not watched this match. I do know that I do know the outcome of the match ultimately, uh, and I kind of have some prior assumptions that we usually don't see turn 2 kills, especially. I mean, Peak here potentially has. The Peak has like virtually. I mean, if it comes down to it, like something like 29 life right now, we can sack something and then flip something, and then on the next attack sack something and flip Greater Goal to itself. It's like this isn't a kill. There's no way this is a kill. If opponent wants to full send, go all out, and so it's got to be a back and forth kind of turn. It's got to be a turn where we're attacking and then deciding how much we want to hold in reserve to defend ourselves to stay alive. And because Pony's at 11, maybe Alex is gonna say at 11 life I have to just full send. I have to just try to get as lucky as it needs to be able to finish the game right now, because it's going to be too hard to defend myself. But it's real hard for Pony to go from 0 to 100 with I think zero horn counters on in the pocket coming into this turn, even with the Fatal Slash to kind of lubricate the card pool. Yeah, he's got like 5 cards in hand, and they do not all look like attacks anyway. What on earth is that? That one. That's second foundation. That first one is Aaron Sidestep. That's a nice one. Uh, all right, Hardened Fist coming in here. This is one I'm not enthusiastic in Peak about in Peak. You know, it's just it's mid. Mid is a curse word in my vocabulary. Um, I just get so disappointed walking mid attacks into mid blocks, whether they're Breaker 2 like good mid blocks, whether they're cards like Berserker Blight that are plus 1 difficulty all my stuff. There's all kinds of horrible mid blocks that are just heinous, and there's all kinds of ways to just cough up mid blocks out of your butthole. Less so than it used to be. We used to have combined firepower in any deck that really wanted it. Once upon a time, there were decks that wanted it but couldn't play it because they didn't have enough ways to exile anything. And then we had Attack on Titan, and they got to add all of the big bongs, the When I Enter the Graveyard guys, and those gave every death deck that wasn't able to play Incubating, gave it access to that. But that's gone now, so I'm just rambling about nothing at this point. But you know, there's a lot of foundations. If one hunts for them, I would be kind of I'm gonna pull up like number 4 Pro Hero. This is a underrated ass card. Enhance, add to your hand, rivals attack gets -2 speed. Look, behold, it blocks Besiege. Never get hit by Besiege again. I don't remember the name off the top of my head, but we got a unique 2 mid block. Only 149 of these in history. Find it easy. Yeah, Monstrous Ferocity, another super under card. Enhanced commit. Block this from your stage, and you can either draw a card or not draw a card. If you want to put it back in your stage with Desperate Plea, you don't have to draw a card with this. You can just put it back in your stage. Infinite mid blocks forever, and never get hit by a Hardened Fist again, unless your opponent full sends and puts 3 speed on it with peak every time. And even checking a 3 here doesn't hurt that bad. That's an alt art. Shobijins was the card I did not recognize, and chat is discussing how we didn't hit that button. Or no, we did hit that button. Okay, so yeah, we had a series of triggers. So Aaron's sidestep was used to draw an extra card. Then Peak responded with the Desperate Gambles. Risky Gamble? Risky Gamble. And yeah, walked into the breaker too. So yeah, checks the 3 on the build with the breaker 2 coming into it. So it checks the effectively the 1 against 3 difficulty. And yeah, Peak was never killing this turn, but we'll see what he can do with his build. We got Moment of Normalcy. We got Willie Tiber. Yeah, so look at this. Peak Universus. I'm telling you, man. Like, we had a single poke. We checked horrible on it. We got breakered. But his hand is full of cards. He's got all kinds of blocks. He's got all kinds of resources. He got a modest build turn with a bunch of uniques and 2 difficulty foundations of cards with difficulty. We're not just trying to play spam zeros, like maximize the number of cards I move around, maximize my turn 2 builds. We're trying to say we're gonna have cards with text that give me advantages in longer games, and we don't need to go for the kill. We don't need to go for the throat every turn. Peak Universes, guys. It's what it's all about. We have an Electric Mouth coming in that could punish someone for having 9 builds to 10 mock to 10 foundations, but not going to be the draw 3 mode. It's going to be draw 2. Yeah, so he's sacking to Peak for -2 damage. I think Alex might actually have. Alex might at some point develop complex PTSD from getting, from playing into all these death symbol DR spam decks that are gonna Greater Goal the crap out of him. Because I sure did to him at Worlds, and I think he lost a Pony Mirror to get eliminated from the bracket. Yeah, like so we have to sacrifice Foundation, which kind of hurts, but then Greater Goal gets to put the Risky Gamble back on the outwit side, which is a real advantage. So Electromoth usually this is a collection of cards that actually trade pretty favorably into Electromoth. It generates some card economy, generates some advantage. Doesn't really accomplish that much. This is kind of like Ruin 1 for a progressive difficulty and an enhanced step. It is going to draw quite a few cards because he did find a Wish Hard to pitch to Pony's Enhance. Yeah, I think I watched one of Phil's streams the other day, and I think he used the phrase instant gratification or something like kind of like these damn kids, like really boomer phrase, and it really kind of had some it felt it had some it struck a chord, I guess, is a phrase, that you can build a deck that's optimized for your best turn 1 build, and you can then full send all of your resources at the first opportunity, and that is a reasonable way to play the game. That is a reasonable kind of path on one's development as a player, but it is a finite upside, and it leaves a lot on the table, I think. and to an extent, that's a bit of what I see in this pony game. Like where, actually Tam talked on the commentary, which you all can't hear. But Tam talked about how he likes to play pony where he's stockpiling horn counters, um, which depends on having something that pays you off for having a lot of horn counters. I think Tam likes playing um, beast summoning. Yeah, the attack we saw in Byakko. And beast summoning converts 4 health into an extra copy of beast summoning. So if you keep your health total high and keep your horn counters flowing, that's an awful lot of 3-speed mid for 5s you can be sending at someone's face. But we saw Alex decline to take momentum after he landed a hit on turn 2. He played a neat little 4-hit string. Yeah, like actually speaking of, I was talking earlier, earlier a little bit about like the check diffs, about the games where you both like you're checking bad on all your checks, all your blocks are always hard. You have to commit out your foundations to pass your checks, and the commentators were discussing the bling here. We have I think there's a regional promo 100 ally because I don't think we have one of Worlds, and this is a Worlds promo Electric Moth that he's currently resolving. Yeah, so I went down on a little tangent about check diff and about checking bad on blocks. The power of playing a long game, of playing for incremental advantages rather than going for the throat, rather than sending it all in at all times, is that you aren't as vulnerable to bad control checks. If you can lean on the power of the text of your cards, that buys you space to check worse. If you can line up your cards or your kind of your footsie game, right, your positioning advantages. If you can dance with your opponent, you don't have to outcheck them. You don't have to overpower them. You can get your cards to line up well. You can get your cards to have better words than them to generate advantage over time for you, to benefit from the risks you take over the course of the game. Where if you take a risky, you get a risky, like if your turn one build is 2 diff, 2 diff, 1 diff, 0 diff, 0 diff, you're taking a small risk, and you're getting small benefits in proportion to those. Or if you have like all 0 diffs, right? You mentioned a deck of all 0 diffs. You're leaving a lot on the table compared to a deck that has some 2 diff foundations. And this is all just kind of airy theoretical justification for vague big picture preferences. Yeah, I totally agree with you in chat that, I don't, so I think I'm not too surprised that there aren't a lot of people playing. Someone in chat mentioned that there aren't a lot of like long game pony decks. That pony is a open-ended character who can do a lot more than just one-dimensional aggro stuff, and it's absolutely true. I'm not too surprised that we haven't seen like really crazy creative innovation with her, because she is a 17 size character who just gets blown up. We've had a lot of metagames recently, a lot of top decks that are very sort of balanced by blood, I guess, let's say, that put people to the test and say, unless you're defending as hard as Rodan, then you're gonna die a lot of the time, and Pony is very susceptible to just getting axe murdered by those people. And on top of like the characters like Byakko or whatever, that are just like, there's a lot of different decks in the metagame, there's a lot of different things to attack, and if you kind of in the same way that I was talking about, like having big guns is really valuable. Going for the fastest game plan gives you a high baseline of equity, right? You don't have to outplay your opponent, you don't have to outprepare your opponent in every game. If you're just saying, I'm playing the fastest deck possible, I'm going in on turn 2, and I'm trying to get the job done, and I'm going to try to pack as much offense with as much muzzle velocity as I can. That has a way of solving its own problems. Or you run into someone playing a lot of capes, Cape no returns, or like Gengai's guidance and stuff. Like those just trade 1-for-1 with your battle releases. That's good, but that's not devastating in a way that if I'm saying, well, here's my all-in Armor of the Wolf control combo kill deck or whatever, running one of those into Gengai's guidance can be a real bad time. And it's like, yeah, UFS is hard, so I'm not too surprised to see that the deep potential of every archetype is not always lived up to, not always achieved. So peak. Do we half block this turn? That, yeah, we half blocked an ambition. We half blocked an electrical moth, lost 17 lives. Like that is a. I guess I don't know if that's a statement in its own right of like. At some level, that's a statement of respect that says, "Listen, I think gonna need every bit of health, and I'm gonna cash in my +3 block on your slow attack. That's because I'm not gonna necessarily be able to block something that's faster and that you might put pony speed on. But man, like spending a card from your hand to save 2 health, spending a card from your hand and some foundations to save 2 health is kind of a statement of I don't think I need to be that careful with my life total this turn. I think I'm not in danger right now, and I need to keep this in the bank for later. That's kind of crazy. But Spirit Slash is going to be a pretty speedy one. It's going to get some bonus speed, and yeah, it's going to get some bonus numbers, but it's going to run into moment of normalcy, whatever happens here. And Alex is considering pitching a Mikasa's Admission for an extra 2 damage. This pony deck does not have a ton of extra damage. I think actually he's got my favorite thing. Yeah, he's got 2x Science Bros with 2x Hunter's Ally to find it, 2x Kiyomi. Like a little bit of longer game juice than it used to have with set 2. Like in set 2 he wasn't playing anything kind of in this space at all. He was just playing, I say with set 2, like at Worlds. Obviously the metagame was a lot different, but set 2 was available, and yeah, actually set 2 was available, and he had, so critically, Peony got to play an extra Feral Shriek, but better. We had a 5 block modifier, and it didn't remove when it drew your extra card, so folks were playing the set 1 Sacrifice the Cause that gives you damage bonus even with a block modifier of a card you might discard from your hand, and so you could throw this away for 5 extra damage, and also just you'd have a little bit of extra card economy flowing, so you could spend, throw some +3s, and now instead of playing Science Bros and 4x Mikasa's Admission to try and find that extra sideways damage without having to spend extra cards in hand, because we're a little bit more constrained on cards in hand. The stick doesn't have the card economy it used to have. But yeah, running all the stuff into this wall of just greater goal. Essentially, yeah, increasingly feels like a tough time for this pony deck, that it's going to get relatively walled out relatively easily. Yeah, we're contemplating, we're counting up, we're contemplating how many Falling Skies we can see. There are 3x in the deck. And then one of them got exiled cycle earlier. Yet Moment of Normalcy comes in here to knock the 4 damage, the self bonus off of the battle or release. One way I thought of, I've begun to think of Universus, like think of these, like Tim Keefe hates my Hanji deck. Maybe that's an overstatement, but he doesn't pleased that kind of deck exists and is competitive and is good. It's just gonna throw a stack of minus damage and stuff. And I thought to myself, well, why precisely is that? Why is that lame? Why is that not what we like here? And I think there's a level of a good game of Universus has a certain level of tension in it. There's a certain level of both players don't know what's going to happen, or neither player knows what's going to happen necessarily, at least in the specifics. And there's this belief that like this could be the moment where you get blown up, where you might lose the game, where you're not going to be, where you can't get overconfident, you can't think, oh, I've already blocked this up or whatever. And when you have these big walls of DR, I think there can be a certain level of fatalism of like, you sit down and it's like, well, my deck just doesn't count to 50, and so I'm going to have a really hard time in this match, even if my opponent doesn't have to block, even if my opponent doesn't have to subject themselves to the uncertainty of trying to win zone Yomi and trying to pass the checks of blocks and play like the speed dance back and forth. I'm not sure. I can't quite see what's in his hand, but if there are a bunch of Falling Skies there, this could still be potentially alive. And Peak can certainly run into the problem of sort of the old MOBO 1 experience of when you have these sacrifice costs on your face, you can sacrifice your board, and Hanji certainly has this as well, of if you get under a heavy pressure from a powerful offense stack, you have to sacrifice your whole stage just to keep your head above water. And if you sacrifice your whole stage, turns out you don't have a stage with which to play the game anymore, and you are just losing more slowly. But so the basic way to calculate, so we've got 6 foundations, we've got 3 progressive difficulty. If we aren't going to be doing, supposing we're just going to play our 2, we have like double Falling Skies in hand. The first one's on 7 difficulty, we have 3 progressive plus 4, and then the second would be on 8 difficulty. So with heavy, like good, check a 6. I was about to say with normal favorable checks, we check a 5 and a 5 and a 5. So the 7 difficulty costs 2 foundations, the 8 difficulty costs 3 foundations. That's still completely Gucci. That's still completely happy. Did you just sack a I'm with you and not respond with it? Oh, is that how that works? That probably is how that works. Curious. Yeah, so I'm reflecting on I'm with you and Greater Goal are literally the same response window, or if they're technically one goes before the other one. And I guess it's probably actually one goes before I think they probably are in fact. So it's an enters the discard pile and a sacrifice response, which I think both boil out to after they both got off the bus. So like one genuinely frustrating thing about fighting these death decks is when they can just like free build these I'm with yous that are face down. You never know if they're there or not, and they surprise have 2 extra health. That kind of sucks. It's kind of lame to deal with. But yeah, this is going to be a 5 base plus 4 high attacks in the card pool, 9 damage. Second one would be 10 damage. Adds up to 19 from the 2 of these, and was that going to be threatening lethal? I think that, yeah, so I think with just Greater Goal and Peak, that was going to be 18 virtual health. And so the -6 from the double stack Greater Goal. Yes, second. Just another 6! This man's got talent. Wow, yeah. So, yeah, because of I'm with you here, I think this is not presenting lethal. Just on it kind of face up, like Peak can enhance -2. Yes, this goes to 10, and we have a pair of -2s with Peak enhance and also Greater Goal enhance, or Greater Goal response. So these 2 Falling Skies would have presented lethal. Yeah, regular Alex check. Look, I believe it. Yeah, I hate trying to. Well, I remember when I played. Oh, did he flip? Okay, so he's got a block. Yeah, so any block is going to play here, but because this is Falling Skies, yeah, that's a 5, like that's +5 speed. 5 speed, 6/7. No, this is You certainly might as well +2 speed here, which makes it awfully close to unblockable, I think. So 7 speed with 2 progressive, like that's 9 speed. Yeah, that's 9 speed, 2 ready foundations. Like that's unblockable unless you have some way to bring the speed back down. And wow, yeah, with the best possible defense, the final slash with the 6 check. Like this is both players are gonna check a bunch of 6s here, but holy moly! Look, peak Universus, guys. This is like I would say I was like dooming here, like oh, there's no tension in this board. I'm like making up freaking copium of how this game is super over. And David is catching up to what you helped me with, chat, of that this is not lethal because Peak transformed. Because Peak transformed, Peak threw away their chances. Peak did not play around the string of falling skies as the low key like. I like my pony decks these days. I like some freaking Armor of the Wolf type nonsense. I like my attacks to just get really big and not have to worry about like, oh, 4 damage Electromoth, 4 damage Lethal Slash. Call this 5 damage because we can build Science Bros or whatever. Hunter's Ally, but like so 8 damage battle release kind of beefy. Falling Skies technically X damage, and clearly the X damage here coming through clutch of the scaling extra difficulty. Scaling extra speed also completely essential. This was a virtually, just look at this. Pony gives it +2 speed, so this is just square 5 for 5, and then it gets one more for every difficulty you're paying on it. It's the square 6 for 6 on its own, and then you had four before it. Got to a 10 for 10. Needed all that speed to get past the final slash. That's insane. Wow. And yeah, did I finish my thought? It's Peak Universus when you can find small edges to throw away if you transform, assuming that the minus speed will be valuable. Assuming that, I mean, and to be fair, like, it's not a horrible assumption to think, oh, breaker one, like zero mid breaker one is the play to make sure I'm not going to get hit twice more. Maybe you're playing around like any combination of not exactly the card Falling Skies amongst these that are going to be 8 or 9 speed or whatever. Oh, but yeah, it's crazy. It could not have been any other attacks than the double Falling Skies that presented. I know that one of these was in the remove from game pile earlier, and the pair of 6 checks didn't matter, but the pair of 6 checks didn't not matter, I guess. They didn't hurt anyway. But alright, Peak did not quite hold serve game 1. He got to do, God, dude, like this is great. Like the tension in the game, the surprise, the capacity for surprise are important parts of Peak Universus. And I was sitting here like so smug, so certain that I know Peak wins the match. I know Peak's gonna win the game. She goes first, and like certainly this kind of chill out, relax. Like we're not gonna try too hard to kill him. We're gonna he's gonna check the 2 on turn 2, and we don't need to. We're gonna put up the walls with the invincible, the greater goal, the moment of normalcy, the Willy Tiber. Like these cards with text, these are the good things. Did not matter. There's always the slugger's chance when you're playing attacks that get big, and you have that. If you have the possibility of dealing lethal damage, there's always the possibility of dealing lethal damage. Oh, I'm meeting the wrong thing. Alright, I'm gonna go get more water and I'll come right back. And we'll see how much chat. It's like people post in chat and tell me what I'm missing as I'm getting water. So I'm not gonna back it up. Chad, I'm very disappointed. You didn't say anything. I needed you, and you let me down. And I missed so much about this game. I did listen to the commentators talk, and about David complaining that Darkboard doesn't cancel actions, which I can understand why you think that, where one might get that idea, but that idea is silly, and it's good that it doesn't. Yeah. So one dope thing that Pony gets to do, which is not going to be a factor in this game, at least on turn 2, but one interesting factor, and one it's like thinking back to connect this like Giro 1 way back in MHA 1, which I guess is at this point it's some real boomer stuff. That's like multiple years ago. There's many moons, many rotations at this point, hence in the past. And let's put a pin in that one. This thought about rattlesnakes. That's kind of my thought is what I call rattlesnakes. But Peak Universus checks a 5 on their Colossal SWAT. Very bread and butter play here. If we have a handful of attacks, this is going to be pretty great. I don't like this card. It's easy to give things a shot when I can say I'm just going to deck the deck at 1 and see how I feel about them once I've seen them in action. In pure theory land, without any practice, without any personal experience, I thought Colossal SWAT it smells like a trap card to me. It smells like a sort of high rolly, like I'm gonna have a good hand and it's gonna get, and like this card's gonna check 5s. Well, it's fine. I'm willing to commit to like a 3-hit string before this card is really carrying its weight, and that means that's 3 cards in my card pool, 3 cards not in my hand, and 3 attacks I had to draw to start the turn, of which Colossal SWAT was going to be one of them. That's a lot of ifs. That's a lot of commitment to get something that's just like pretty good. It is powerful 3. I think powerful 4 even. Powerful 4 is pretty awesome. And Peak. Let's close you. Let's see. You know, Peak plus 3 speed, plus 3 damage on my 5 speed low powerful 4. That's pretty tight if that's what we're gonna have going on with this. But yeah, it depends on having momentum, and like how do we get momentum in our deck with all these like 3 speed attacks and mids and stuff. I love we have 6 5 speed low powerful attacks to go with. Oh yeah, the zone mix up. We got the 2 good value high attacks. We got I guess Lunar Ring's kind of beefy all around her. We got Tri-Gravity that's got evasion on it, where it's stealing cards out of their hand to set up for Lunar Ring. I do like the shape of that. This is a nice attack lineup. We run, but SWAT runs into Referee Jury. I guess underrated part of the Peak experience is who want to. Yeah, I hadn't considered just like, so you SWAT, you build 2, you check a 5, you build 2, you sack your thing you committed for the 5 to flip to the backside of Peak. Then you can just sack one of the ones you just built in to flip back to the front, and then commit to build. That's more than nothing, and it feels pretty natural to then just play one more attack, not 2 more attacks here, and get a little bit more pressure on, get a little bit more damage in, whatever. Are we still in the enhanced step, I guess? Because we have Referee Jury the Colossus SWAT, and looks like we haven't taken damage on that. We also haven't blocked, I'm assuming, from Pony. Tam's talking about keeping your Lunar Ring storm counts, which oh, actually, can Lunar Ring? This is a rival asset, right? Yeah, okay. I thought you could potentially kill your own artillery just for storm count for damage. Going in, check, littering on a 5, check a 5, easy game, easy life. This is a risky line, but it's not paying off just yet. Woof. Yeah, so it is a good sign when you play your attack that's in your deck that your lootering that's in your deck is a big scaling damage monstrosity to finish off a late game, and your opponent pushes a minus damage button that says, "Listen, I am not blocking this one." And this is an attack that we peak enhanced. We're double tapping the peak enhance. We're flipping down and back up. We're into the time and back out, and really getting the damage up on this. Sheesh. This is like, yeah, it's just the full +4s. So, yeah, we've sacked 2 on each. Pretty sure. It's gonna be 9, 10, 12. Yeah, clean 10 damage. Yep. With the warm and bubbly taking 2 off the top, but basically, yeah, 5 up front, 4 from the thing sacrificed, and the 1 from the artillery. Alright, yo! This is a, yeah, so now we're gonna flip-flop on peak, give it the 3/3s, and I guess we probably haven't exiled anything this turn if we didn't find exactly an eye with you or anything. But it is gonna, so we're not getting the extra 2 from it, but it is gonna be sent. Yeah, we get a Thoughtseize, so it's not gonna be any. The best block modifier can get stripped out here, and it's gonna be a 7-speed attack, and with 1 progressive. Oh, that's funny, yeah. So Tri-Gravity exiles the card from your hand, doesn't discard it, so Wish Hard can't trigger. Funny. Oh yeah, so things I underrated with Peak include, um, if you just full send, like this is actually a pretty, like, this is a pretty compelling, like this is a fairly compelling turn 2 kill of a relatively low defense, relatively overextended pony, right? Like he committed his character on turn 1 to build out. He didn't build very many defensive resources. It was just like some warm and bubblies. There weren't any like speed hate cards. Because like if Alex had like even like a -2 speed in this stage, he had the possibility of passing a block. He had like two excellent block modifiers in his hand. If he had like his like a number 10, I think is the yeah, number 10. If he had a pair of +1 blocks, he had 3 foundations in the stage. It's a 7-speed attack. Um, so 7-speed, 1 progressive is 8. Three foundations. I guess 3 foundations makes the difficulty of the block 5. Then you add progressive. So he wouldn't need if he had a +1 block, he still needs to check a 6. But he still has a chance to defend himself, chance to get a turn back. And then we're kind of in the conversation, the Baco conversation of it's not a turn 2 kill, but it's awfully close to a turn 2 kill. It's a de facto turn 2 kill or whatever. I remember after the Atlanta regional last year, I was in one of the discords talking to Drew, um, Andrew Porat, who was the finalist in Atlanta, and now has won 2 regionals this year. So had putting on an insane resume, insane clinic. Like I think that might be hyperbole. I don't know, but anyway, and he said we were like yapping about Irwin. I said Irwin's not like I was basically minimizing how good my deck was. This combined firepower risky gamble, a risky encounter deck. Risky Gamble, newer card, if AOT set 2. Risky Encounter from set 1. Very messed up card. And he said, you killed me on turn 2 in finals. And I said, I kind of meta-ironically replied immediately, well, if I did, you probably deserved it. Kind of inhabiting the performing the role of an abuser, saying, "Oh, you like any bad thing I did. Certainly, didn't reflect badly on me. It was your fault that I had to, whatever." Which is like a pretty dark joke, but to an extent, I did like there's an element of reality with that. Like if you defend yourself on turn 2, I'm kidding. Yeah. Well, like, and I actually went back and watched the VOD, and maybe I've certainly actually now that I'm like breaking the seal of just like clicking the button and spamming people and like having a bunch of people show up. Which, thank you very much, everyone who's coming to post in chat and reinforce this as a thing I can do. And like now I'm breaking the seal of I was saying breaking the seal of going live with stuff. I've been meaning to like go back and yap over some of the matches I've played, some of the things I have on video of, and just like talk through these matches that certainly connected a lot with me as I was playing them, and I thought have good perhaps lessons of ideas you might be able to take away and incorporate in your own game. And so I watched the I think it was it might have been game 1 of the finals, and he's playing Smiling Titan, which is also a deck that is not dead, but certainly very changed with the errata now. And he was playing, and it was kind of a cousin to the Ghidorah deck, honestly. He's been playing that he was playing in the stream team match they did. I don't know if anyone in chat is familiar with the drama of that, but the Ghidorah Death Wall deck, or actually Evil Wall deck, that it might have been Death at that point. Anyway, but I guess this is not like this is not necessarily on the Death symbol. Basically, it's playing Invincible Body, True 100% Smash, or True 100% Unleashed, like the whole Taguro pack, right? We're smoking all the Taguro pack, weapon clashes, just damage reduction spam on top of a big body. Smiling Titan obviously at 31 health, and he's also playing like the Damage Reset Foundation, the Desperate Struggles, just like lots of 3 diffs. And yeah, so I start kind of slapping around on turn 2, and I'm playing Urban Smith, and I play Battle or Release or whatever, play some other stuff, and he flips his weapon clashes to build a Foundation Committed. And I'm like, huh, neat. And then I like play some Command Firepowers and a Risky Gamble for my discard pile, and stun him out and present lethal damage. And because he has not only declined to keep his weapon clashes available for -2 damage, he has also flipped them, which in this particular instance, Risky Encounter has stacks of if you're behind on foundations, it scales up its damage. It gets +1 for every foundation that you are outbuilt by, in effect. His weapon clashes actually powered up my attack, so he was getting greedy to like set him up to do some Smiling Titan stuff on turn 2 on his if he got a turn 2, but he didn't get a turn 2 because my deck had a pointy enough offense that he needed to actually interact with me in order to stop me from counting to 31. And counting to 31 through interaction is very hard, but merely counting to 31 is not a Herculean task for every deck. It's a different decks have that capacity at different levels. So all this yapping to reflect on the present moment is to say that we saw Peak get a turn 2 kill there through a referee jury, and that goes on the scoreboard for sure. Of like, this is a turn 2 kill in this tournament. Like that is something that happened. But if we say, why do we care about turn 2 kills? We want players. The answer is that we want players to have agency in the games. We want players to have a feeling of input and of meaning to the games, that they're not just completely playing dice, and they're not just like that. All the decisions that went into building their deck didn't matter, because if you only get one draw stack, you only get your starting hand plus your mulligan or whatever. That's a bad feeling. Like that's an incredibly narrow window by which to experience the game, and that's what happens when you get killed as player 2 on turn 1. And that's why it's valuable not to have too many turn 2 kills. But if it's an infrequent thing, that's kind of a confluence of factors, and it's just a measure of like how you scale up players' healths and players' offenses, and what's an acceptable level of offense. And that's, I think, kind of some of the big picture of some context about turn 2 kills, I guess, probably. And so what's going on in this game? So we had we both have moment of normalcy. Do we have that in this stack? It's definitely not. Okay. What's that card on the left? Pretty sure it's a 2, and I'm pretty sure it's an alt art. It looks like the alt art Moment of Rest. But anyway, yeah, so we had a clean... Definitely have Axe, definitely have Ambition, definitely have Syndicate, and some kind of Whaley card from Peak. And actually, so this brings into... Did I really hover over normalcy? This is Peak stack. There's normalcy. Oh, it's the first card. Okay, yeah. So it's probably it is quite possibly. See, it's definitely that might be the promo. That it feels like that matches the promo. That's like Levi leaning back in a chair. I don't know if that's whatever. I'll actually try to pay attention to the game and we'll find out. So decent segue. Checking some syndicate targets on blocks today. We check the sixes. How many sixes do we have in this peak deck? Do we have any more other than the syndicates? No. Wow. All right, 2 syndicate target blocks in like 4 or 5 block checks tops. Like that's funny. You think it looks like Levi promo too? So that's probably it then. Yes, we have normalcy on both sides. I think probably a bit less compelling, a bit less valuable in this pony deck. But the cool thing about normalcy is it does play on both sides. It plays offense as well as defense. So if your opponents spam you with damage reduction, you can put your attacks back to printed. Which +4 damage is it's a good card. I'd certainly play. I certainly have jumped through some hoops to play E-commit +4 damage here and there throughout my career in the game. But so, all right, rattlesnakes. So Peak Finger actually has a rattlesnake, and broadly, I think of rattlesnakes as just the category of things that make you stronger if your opponent attacks you. Peak says E-commit, build 1. Pony says enhance, just enhance, discard 2 cards, draw a card, get 2 horn counters. So if I have like 3 bad cards in my hand, and I can cycle them, I can get those 2 horn counters for Pony, stay in the bank forever. So actually, both these characters have some rattlesnake effects, and I think rattlesnakes are it's a pretty subtle difference in games. It's pretty like it doesn't scream at you in the way that like Pony goldfishing 100 damage on turn 2 or whatever, or Peak putting a bunch of big numbers on stuff. But you see a lot of successful characters have rattlesnakes, and it's that that kind of mechanic shifts the experience of the gameplay and shifts the calculus of what options are available to the players during the games in a interesting and meaningful way. And I think that Tarion absolutely is another example. Yeah, and I think I went back to Jiro earlier. I think that low key, like a big part of the story of Jiro was that actually, Jiro was maybe some of what I was talking about earlier about the idea of search space with Bakugo. If you poked Jiro with just like 1 attack, her hand said, "Look at my top 2 cards, put them back in any order." And so if they kind of predicted what attacks on you were going to be on, they could very easily play their 1 block and check a 5 every time because they would scout 2 and they would usually have a 5. And then they would leave they had an attack foundation on top, which is the most common arrangement, or probably the most common arrangement anyway. It's at least among the most common arrangements. Uh, Much more common than 2 attacks. You check the 5, and then you leave the attack on top, and so now, if you hadn't attacked, right? If I'm holding 3 cards, let's say it's 2 attacks and a foundation, and the foundation's on the zone I expect you to attack. She scouts 2, she leaves the 5 on top, and now that's... Then she's going to play her block, check her 5, and then now she has 2 attacks in hand, 1 attack on top of deck, and then 3 more blind draws. And so that's a hand that's got a lot of attacks already, basically. It's a 8-card search space compared to the counterfactual. If you hadn't attacked at all, it would just be 6 cards. It would just be she'd review the foundation, have the 2 attacks here, and then draw whatever those 2 are on top, and then whatever 2 are underneath those, instead of the top 2 and then the next 4. The total of 4 cards down to the deck. And I guess ultimately, I think, take this concept of rattlesnakes and keep an eye out for it. Keep an eye out for cards like Desperate Plea, I'm a big fan of. Keep an eye out for characters who get to build stuff when you attack them, who have enhances that are valuable, and just like look out for that in your games and see if that can make it a little bit easier to evaluate board situations. And you know, when it's a good idea to poke or not. And if your opponent is playing pony and you find yourself losing a lot of times on like turn 2 and 3 because they have all these horn counters available all of a sudden, think about if you could have, at the simple level, think about if you could have just declined to attack her on turn 2 because that gave her those horn counters from attacking her. And then think about if you can build a deck that can proceed in the game without having thrown hands all the time and have been a little bit less permissive to her getting her horns off. One card I like a lot, and to an extent this is why I really like cards like Manipulation Zeke Jaeger, like USS Cerritos, because they are big splashy effects that you don't have to go to an enhanced step for. And so, like, Cerritos, I think, broadly, like I've played some Godzilla with Cerritos, I've played some various 6-hand size Chaos characters with Cerritos. Like, broadly, if I play that card in a 6, it's paying me off in my terms of, like, adding my win percentage about as much as I expect a 6 ability attack to be doing that, right? Like, a Bad Cyber Chimera Kraken makes me a bit more likely to win the game when I draw it and play it. And Cerritos increments my chances to win the game pretty substantially. And what's nice is they can't block Cerritos. They can have like Acid Hate to destroy it or whatever. But they can't just like have a card in their hand to block it. They can block Bad Cyber Chimera Kraken every time. It's, you know, people are, I hope, are pretty used to having high blocks because you don't want to get by Chimera Kraken. And yeah, don't walk into your opponent's rattlesnakes. If your opponent is telling you don't attack me, maybe don't attack them. Hacker Extraordinaire is another excellent example where they can be happy that you got in the red zone with them, and if they can correctly predict you're not going to try to kill them, or if you're just like poking them for value. Alright, so yeah, what all has happened? So Peak has lost a sliver of life. Peak has transformed. Peak has, yeah, netted out to 4 cards in their stage. Yo, she Sugmina can build Cerritos. Oh, I'm so happy. My retro deck for a little while has been Momo 2, just first form build Cerritos, and then if you're trying to play reversals, I'm never attacking you. I have form plus 1 hand size for the rest of my life. I don't need to attack you. Man, brother, if I could never check a 3 on Colossus SWAT, I might think it's the best card in the game. Yeah, Colossus SWAT, what a card, what a card. I remember way back in the OT1, I built Order Irwin first. Order Irwin was my first crush, because he could play some VMEs and feel clever about it. He could do some lightning rods and feel clever about it. And that deck was really fun. That deck was really dope. And I remember I saw Colossus SWAT and it's like, wow, I can play lightning rod. Death attuned now? Holy crap, that's so great. And then I never did, never tried it, never got through. And it took until I saw Caden's Hanji deck before I ever even tried it in Hanji, because I had too much of a crush on the semi-safety 4s. And yeah, just I think I definitely have a an inclination to not believe in the offense in general, and then people show me, hey, you can just kill them on two, and I need to get I need to develop a connection with my inner Caden, perhaps. Oh, but actually, and so the commentators do point out that I was talking about how watching what pony discards can communicate a lot of information. Here, Peak sacrificed one of her Colossus foundations, even though it was ready, in preference to the face down committed foundation that was kind of a permanent card in her stage. And yeah, like yeah, pair of two diffs. I called this Exodia in Hanji. If you had greater goal plus weapon clash, you could I could never die. I felt invincible. And every extra foundation here is gonna carry a lot of weight. I wonder if I'm gonna see. So John, I think, is gonna advance to finals, and I'm probably gonna call it a night before instead of watching finals. I think, but we can certainly get through the rest of this game. I think he had 4x Visions of the Survey Corps. I do not think I've seen this card in play yet. And this one fairly long match. This is certainly no Immortal Shapeshifter, but it's not Immortal Shapeshifter either, if you really think about it. Flip -2 damage, that's like gain a couple health, and flip -2 speed is nothing like anything on Immortal Shapeshifter, but it's not unlike Immortal Shapeshifter if you squint really hard and actually close your eyes and just imagine. But I have seen him check it a few times, and so it is in the deck. That's good to do. Commentaries points out that reviewing referee jury is a sign of a confident man. The review step, I've said, is my favorite step in the entire game of Universus. It tells you, it is the crucible through which. This is like such an overstatement. It's really cool though. It's really dope. It's it lets you hold cards and then decide if you want them or not. There's so many times where you'll have a mediocre attack in your hand. Maybe that's not true anymore because every attack is so good these days. But like it's turn 3 and your stage is kind of medium and your opponent's stage is pretty healthy and you have like a stun attack in your hand. It's like this. If I had the stun attack next to like 4 other attacks, it'd be the best. But you're not even really left me an opening, and if I just draw some foundations, I just want to take a chill build turn. Maybe the stun attack has a bad block on it. Like, am I going to review the stun attack, or am I going to hold on to it and try to find the kill or whatever? If I'm going to draw referee jury, when do I pull the trigger on the review step to throw it away, versus do I hang on to it for a long time to say, I'm going to present a hard target to be as tough enough to crack as I can when you try to kill me, and then try to hang on and backswing you after that, or when are you giving away too much by giving yourself -1 hand size? It's like saying, if I just hold this referee jury in my hand forever, that's one less card to draw on offense. That's one smaller search space to find the offense, to find the kill turn, the attack strings. Spirit slash into electric moth. It's good. It's good, clean living, man. We get to cycle some cards, get to pony in hands, get some horn counters, get to dump the horn counters, we get to build a foundation. And it is just a face down foundation. This pony deck's full of face down foundations and foundations that are as good as face down. But +1. We like +1. Yeah, Tam is pointing out that, and I think I'd say if you, I kind of surprised reaction. Alex played very precisely there, where he put, he had Wishard plus Feral Shriek. He put Wishard in the discard pile briefly while he removed his Wishard, resolved its effect and drew a card, then removed his Feral Shriek, drew a card, and then resolved Pony's effect by drawing a card. Uh, I think that is important to do when you have Science Bros in play, or at least to verbally acknowledge that this is what you are doing and kind of skipping through it, shortcutting it a little bit if you want to save some time. John checks another 3 on a block. I guess I commented on him checking 6s on blocks. He's also checked a lot of 3s on blocks. But when you got cards like Showdown, you're keeping yourself in a tight position. You're not blocking the Spirit Slashes that are speedy. It's okay to check 3s on blocks. Ooh, he's got Lethal Slash. Yeah, Lethal Slash means, like, this is... He gets to dump his card pool out. Like, we saw in game 1, though, that it took, like, I think there was a Battle Roar release in that string, and then also there were obviously the pair of Falling Skies to finish it out. This Pony deck is light on damage. It just is. And even to clear his card pool, if he had like 12 Battle Roar releases in his deck, this could be a dangerous situation, I think. Did he just mill that loss of consciousness? He doesn't care to use it. Maybe it was in his stage and he sacked it, I guess. Probably. Yeah, I love... Detailing the Plan is a real nice one. I think it's very... I'm not going to say it's, like, super underrated, but... if the theme of the broadcast tonight is peak universes, Sam Tate would certainly say that Detailing the Plan is adjacent to peak universes. This is a card that you block with, and then it draws a card that's... like... 38% of a Templar, right? It's less than half because it draws 1 card and not 2 cards, and it also doesn't breaker, it also doesn't gain life. But it's peak universes, and cantripping on blocks gives you more cards in hand. It gives you a more interesting review step later on, but it gives you the possibility, the tension of drawing into a hand trap. It gives you the tension of drawing into your block coverage. All around good times, and it's a mid block, and mid blocks are often partial blocks. I hate partial blocking. It's so bad. You should avoid it at all costs, except when it's going to make you not die. If you're pretty confident you're not going to die because you're going to partial block, then you should partial block, but only then. And honestly, the shame of it might be like so overwhelming that it's not worth the sacrifice, right? To play that partial block. This is incoherent rambling, honestly. So what's happening in this game? I think I was dooming in game 1 that Pony was hopeless, that Pony had no chance to win, that all your base belonged to peak universes, and you have no chance to survive Make Your Time. I think that's strange behavior. I thought that was Vision of the Survey Corps for a sec. Unusual behavior. Ohio Poco. Just walk normal, okay? Just check a 6 on your block. But peak universe, guys, that is what I call the bonus review step. That is the chump block. That is when you play your card that is a terrible block modifier against an attack that cannot pass the check, because you want that out of your hand, and you want your draw step to be full of juice, to be full of gas. Unusual behavior is not gas. And if your opponent attacks you, this is like the implicit rattlesnake. This is the rattlesnake everyone has available to them. Is if you attack your opponent, you let them discard a card from their hand to play their block, unless it's on the completely illegal block zone. If you're playing high attack, they have a low block, they can't block with that. But they can always attempt to play their block, and they can always get their deck moving. They can always get their cards flowing. And I've overheard. I think I watched some number of frames of the final, but only a small fraction. I've heard that John made some very heads-up plays in the final regarding how his management of Bakugo's block zones, his management of Bakugo's search space to find his backswings on some quiet turns where they kind of bricked back and forth, and the meme peak Universus, like, you brick in Universus sometimes. You have your opponent on the ropes at 1 health, and you're both like everything's falling apart, they're overextended, whatever, and you don't draw what you need to draw, and so you have to soldier on, slog through that bad draw. There's no world where you're going to get to a tournament without having any bad draws, and so peak Universes, you're going to see some of those bad draws happening on stream and see the players work through that, and it's like the equal and opposite of the highlights of the 6 check blocks of the double falling skies strings. Equally an important integral part of the best parts of the game. Man, I feel like I'm like self-conscious of how much hyperbolizing of how good this game, about how good the game is, about how this is such a good display of everything good in the game. But I don't think I'm lying about it. Like, welcome back to this LC. You have missed a lot of barely directed rambling and color commentary about Pony probably not having enough juice to push through a couple blocks in some damage reduction. This deck we did not see Pony find some of its 2x technology piece. I think a Kiyomi could have helped this offense a lot. We have seen Hunter's Ally building Science Bros. But if you want to draw those cards, you have to play them in your deck, and you have to play them. You can't be too upset about not drawing your 2x's. You have some breakers. Yeah, we have breakers. Like all defense cards on the sideboard. He just believes in his main deck as far as his offense, even though his offense is really Bedor Release, Falling Skies, and Friends. And there's been a lot of Friends in these games, and they're not getting the job done against Peak. We need to build Mikasa. Let's see. Do you have any trap cards? Any cards you really dislike, or any kind of surprises that are like cards that don't look impressive on their surface but are incredibly good in Mikasa? And thank you again for the kind words. Thank you again for the kind words and for tuning in the live stream. Seems really good. Like Shane Duckworth, as Shane Duckworth says, UFS is too damn good. And he won a team asset and put that in the name of the team asset, and then that was his motto as a designer, as an employee at Jazz Games and Universus Games. It's a good game. And we'll see if this is the turn that sends John through to the finals, or if we have a Twisting Onslaught. Yeah, dude, I'm such a non-believer, but I do have they are like putting. Is this a copy? Yeah, we got the weekly promo edition of Onslaught, so. I mean, it is as I affectionately call it, like, I talk about, in my heart of hearts, I play Ready Shot, because Ready Shot is a shitter. It's an attack I put out there, and then I'm not playing it because I expect it to do anything. I'm just putting it to put an object in front of me, and to move some cards around, and to get some economy going, and to perhaps provoke my opponent into overreaction or provoke my opponent into having to deal with my orange cards. This is a shitter, and Mikasa loves shitters because if her shitters hit, she gets to draw a card with them, and that's dope. We like that. Yeah, it feels bad into DR, yeah, I imagine. And actually, I guess yeah, like you draw your sweeping daggers, and they're playing like a backup deck or something that doesn't have any targets. You can just trash that out. Yeah, so you have like all the like Hunter's allies and stuff in there. Cause I have the big crush on that one. Yeah, I gotta build Mikasa. Oh yeah, you can. So do you have? So we have Hunter's ally. Do you have the other one? Do you have sweeping or not sweeping daggers? Jesus. The other 4 high for 5 ranged weapon that needs a ranged weapon to pay for its echo. Or is that like too cute? That's probably like way too cute actually. Since it's gonna be face on your card pool, that's no good. It does potentially draw 2 cards though. Yeah, sure. If you have me on Discord, if you have me on Discord or are in a server with me on Discord, send it on any of those. Or just like post. I don't know if I think YouTube's weird about posting links in chat, so that probably won't work. But I would be thrilled to take a look and eventually uh, get off my ass and put some cards next to each other to play at locals. I've I'm very happy. Like I've been incredibly impressed with AOT3 of a bunch of characters I thought were whack, were like not impressive or not good. I've now become completely taken by Armin Car of the Colossus. I think I remember I played. You can probably go watch on the Vortex Cast channel. Actually, I don't know if I don't know if Justin ever uploaded the VOD of our I did a sealed match with Tim before the pre-release with his content creator box. We took his box. He had just for pack openings. We said let's play some sealed. We cracked 6 packs. We built our decks on stream. We yapped each other. It was probably halfway decent stream experience, I guess, if you're really passionate about the game. If you want to watch 2 decent players play decently, the game was actually pretty dope. But the character impressed me a lot more than I expected to be, both in terms of just what plus odd damage gets to do and what the peak modes get to do, and didn't get to do very much fun stuff with the face down mode. The play cards as face downs as 2 diffs. I just like play. I had a bad hand with too many attacks, and I just played my attacks face down, which isn't exciting and not unlimited anyway. But in constructed, like Yelena's Machinations, holy crap, what a card! And Armin plays it better than anybody. Oh yeah, we're getting another Tri-Gravity and layup kill here, probably. But anyway, yeah, I was very impressed with Armin, and increasingly impressed with Armin now. I thought Mikasa, Hizuru's Hope from Set 4 Mikasa was like that people were just on total copium with her, that she was actually quite bad, and that her at a fundamental level she was just gonna spin her wheels and not have anything going for her. But then even just like the foundation that's when it sacrifices goes to your hand changed my opinion a bit, and just seeing what the death symbol like just kind of grokking, yeah, like you to play I'm with you, just like all my other death symbol decks. Like that's pretty dope for her. AOT3 has exceeded my expectations, I guess. Ultimately, like the character designs I thought were mid or bad I've seen the upside to them, so they're well made. Let me actually catch up on checks. I've seen there's been a couple messages over here. Sick. Yeah, I'm very happy about the Nick changes. I think I'm disappointed on Nick's behalf that they are contrary to his wishes. He checks at nothing. Wow. Peak gaming, man. Dude, peak Universes, guys. Pony. I love that. I really love that Pony put up a result here, and that it's Pony like last season's Pony, right? That we don't have an absolute metagame annihilation, an absolute overhaul. Like, this is Pony with a bit of normalcy, a number of sideboard cards, I guess. We got some, like, Breaker 3 is pretty cool. We got some Kiyomi. Um, maybe it's even an overstatement to say this is like the same Pony deck we've been dealing with for X period of time, but it's largely the same shape. Like, we updated our set 2 Pony deck. We had to take out the cards that rotated. We found Hunter's Ally, Science Rose to fill in the slots. To the big picture, we got Flying Size Battle or Release, Lethal Slash, Electric Moth with some assistance at the sides. This is somewhat bracing to see, especially I think when the early days of the kind of like the end of spoiler season, as people were starting to build their decks, there was a lot of trepidation, let's say, about, for instance, Ungilding Destruction, and a lot of the powerful cards we're seeing in AOT3. But we're seeing peak Universes instead. Like, we're seeing this is a good deck. This is a deck that's playing a bunch of new cards and a bunch of old stalwarts, but it's fundamentally playing Universes. It's just playing Universes well. It's playing a fair game and manipulating the numbers and lining up its cards well. And I guess I'm not going to say that it is impossible that Peak could be overpowered, that Peak could be unassailable, and could be the best deck in the format. I think that is unlikely, but I haven't tested a ton into it. I haven't experienced that a lot myself. And I'm excited to see the finals, if the finals is going to be exciting. I'm excited to eventually see John at Worlds, presumably, next year. And yeah, but I think I'm going to I like to like kind of start getting on the slope down to go to bed at like 11 o'clock every day, and it's like 11:30 now. And definitely be in bed by midnight, because that's like a good circadian rhythm that I aspire toward. So yeah, and nice. It's been about 2 hours as well, so that kind of worked out. All right, folks, thanks for joining me, and I'll see you again. I'll talk to me on Discord. Yeah, bye. Oh, I guess I have to stop stream 6 places actually. So you'll hit end stream here. I will no longer be live. That is what I want.